The oldest president in U.S. history also continues to face questions about his age, even here in Nantucket.
Mr. President, are you too old to be running for re-election?
Stupid.
Why is Donald Trump beating you in the latest poll?
President Biden faces the lowest approval rating of his presidency. We hope to hear from President Biden before he takes off to go back to Washington. Shannon?
All right, Lucas on the road with the president in Nantucket.
That's Fox reporter Lucas Tomlinson bringing us the very important news that even in Nantucket, Joe Biden is being asked about his age, showing the extent to which no matter where the president goes, he can't seem to escape this issue plaguing him. Only, small problem, the person who asked Joe Biden about his age that was the basis for this entire report was this very reporter, Lucas Tomlinson. In other words, Lucas wants to talk about how Biden can't escape the age question, so he asks Biden about his age and then does a news report about how Biden is constantly being asked about his age. If you were looking for a self-fulfilling prophecy, this is it. Tomlinson even went a step further while trafficking in journalistic malpractice, then tweeting, while shopping in Nantucket, President Biden was asked by a reporter if he is too old to run for re-election. That's stupid, he replied. And again, there is nothing that drives home the bad faith reporting quite as much as Tomlinson referring to a reporter as if the reporter quite literally wasn't himself. If only these people were capable of shame. And that little detail didn't escape the White House either. Biden spokesman Andrew Bates tweeted, at Lucas Fox News, are you able to speculate on whose voice that is shouting? It sounds familiar to me, but I'm having difficulty placing it. White House Deputy Press Secretary Olivia Dalton tweeted, LOL, that reporter was you. And of course, this is all in service of perpetuating the narrative that Biden is too old to be president again. And because Fox is so hell-bent on making sure that this is the narrative, they are quite literally making it the narrative by injecting it into the public discourse and then reporting on the news that they just made. This should go without saying, but Fox is not a real news outlet. It is a propaganda arm of the Republican Party. A real news outlet doesn't create the news they want to report on. They just report on what is organically happening. But because Fox's sole priority is helping Republicans win by any means necessary, this is what we're left with. Granted, you would think that after having to shell out a record $787 billion from the last time Fox paraded itself around as a band of shills for the GOP, that they'd have maybe learned their lesson. Just months ago, Fox paid the biggest defamation settlement in U.S. history for their baseless reporting about Dominion voting systems in the 2020 election. And yet, apparently, lying is so thoroughly ingrained in their business model that even the abject humiliation of paying that massive settlement still isn't enough to get them to maybe, just maybe, start acting like a real news network. And so look, Republicans and their mouthpieces at Fox will of course perpetuate this narrative because this is all they have. They need to convince their viewers that Joe Biden doesn't remember his own name, because if they were to report on the reality, it would paint a far different picture. And the reality is that in less than 3 years as president, Biden's presided over the most consequential term in U.S. history. The American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act, record climate investments, slashing healthcare costs, getting the price of insulin down, the PACT Act for veteran healthcare, the CHIPS Act and bringing the clean energy revolution to the U.S., the infrastructure law, the gun safety law, reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, codifying marriage equality into federal law, adding 14 million jobs and 800,000 manufacturing jobs. The list goes on and on, but the point is that of course Fox needs to pretend that Biden is too old to do the job because they can't face the reality that he is quite literally doing it. And I'd argue doing it more effectively than any other president in modern American history. Contrast that with Fox's guy, Donald Trump, who is currently on a nationwide tour proving to the country that he is too stupid to know who the current president is, which president launched us into war in the Middle East, and that World War II already happened.
So much more, but the head of Hungary, a very tough, strong guy, Viktor Orban. Did anybody ever hear of him? Probably, considered very powerful within his country and outside of his country. Not exactly loved by some of the European nations because he does his thing. He didn't allow millions of people to invade his country. He allowed nobody to invade. Zero. He had nobody. So he doesn't have crime and he doesn't have the problems that they're having in other countries where millions of people are allowed to go in. But they were interviewing him 2 weeks ago and they said, what would you advise President Obama? The whole world seems to be exploding and imploding. And he said, it's very simple. He should immediately resign, and they should replace him with President Trump. As you know, crooked Joe Biden and the radical left thugs who have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. This is the same thing. The country was very divided. And we did with Obama. We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won.
Brian, it's all coming through Iran, and Obama he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't even mention them in his statements. It's all coming through Iran.
Well, you mean President Biden. So, but right now...
I also mean Obama.
What do you mean?
I mean Obama and Biden, but Obama is Biden's boss.
You know, I was very honored as a man. Viktor Orban, anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. And he's the leader of, right? He's the leader of Turkey, fronts on both Russia. And a very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. And thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you, I'm for us. You know how you spell us, right? You spell us, U.S. I just picked that up. Has anyone ever thought of that before? I just picked that up. A couple of days I'm reading, and it said us. And I said, you know, if you think about it, us equals U.S. Isn't that? Now, if we say something genius, they'll never say it. You know, we get 25, 30, 40, 50, 80,000, 100,000 people to speeches. They've never said Trump's a great speaker. Never said. I've never heard it. We have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
So yeah, in case you were wondering why Fox is running so hard with the Biden's in cognitive decline narrative, it's because they are absolute pros at projection, and their guy is still bragging out there that he passed a cognitive exam that tests for dementia. So the next time you hear a Fox reporter go on and on about Biden's age, think about why they're trying to redirect your attention away from the leading Republican candidate, because if he had anything worth promoting, they would do it. The fact that they can't should tell you everything you need to know. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.